Howdy, this is Geometry with Mrs. Moslick, notes 6-5 on rhombi and squares. Pause the video so that you can fill out the front side. When you are done, go ahead and get out your red pen, do a red pen check with the correct answers. So go ahead and pause and then fill out the sides. Okay, so let's just check your work. Name the 6 properties of parallelograms. They can be stated in any order. You just need to make sure you have words and a picture for each. So we have 2 pairs of opposite parallel sides, 2 pairs of opposite congruent sides, 2 pairs of opposite congruent angles, 1 pair of opposite congruent and parallel sides. We have consecutive angles or supplementary, or you can just draw a picture with x's opposite each other, y's opposite each other, so x plus y is 180. And diagonals bisect each other, or you can say diagonals meet at their midpoints. The Venn diagram, you have to write the word as well as a picture that defines the vocabulary word. A quadrilateral is a 4-sided object. A parallelogram is a quadrilateral with 2 pairs of opposite parallel sides. A rectangle is a parallelogram. It has 4 right angles. A rhombus is a parallelogram with 4 congruent sides. A square is a rhombus and a rectangle and a parallelogram. So a square, you can represent it with 4 congruent sides, 4 right angles. A trapezoid is a quadrilateral with 1 pair of opposite parallel sides. And a specific type of trapezoid is an isosceles trapezoid, which is a trapezoid that has 1 pair of opposite congruent sides. And it's the sides that are not parallel. And then finally, our kite is quadrilateral with 2 pairs of consecutive congruent sides. Okay, so that's it from the first side, and let's go to the back side at this point and fill this out. And I'm having some difficulties with Microsoft Word. Okay, so we are going to talk about rhombi to before squares. So what is a rhombus? We've talked about it on the Venn diagram. It's a parallelogram, so it has the 6 properties, and it also has 3 additional properties. We're going to figure that out right now. So let's go and draw as best as we can an accurate looking rhombus. So a rhombus, by definition, is a, let's make sure that this color is working, is a parallelogram, and the 4 sides are congruent. So that is the definition. 4 congruent sides. If you draw in, I'll change color so you can see this a little better. If you draw in the diagonals, you'll see that they are perpendicular. So diagonals are perpendicular, or you can say the diagonals meet at right angles. In addition to the diagonals meeting at right angles, there's something else that's interesting about the diagonals. I'll try to draw as accurate as a picture as I can of a rhombus, but when you look at a diagonal, it bisects the angles. And we already know that a rhombus is a parallelogram, so the opposite angles are congruent, and since the diagonals bisect the opposite angles, we have these 4 being the same, as well as these 4 measures being the same. So diagonals bisect the angles. Diagonals bisect the angles. Those are your 3 additional properties. So what we can do is we can go back to the front side and let's just update our Venn diagram. And so I'll change the color. Let's go with red to highlight the number of properties. So a parallelogram has 6 properties. We listed them on this front side. A rectangle has 2. That's the definition for right angles, and the diagonals are congruent. A rhombus has 3 properties. We just talked about it. It's the 4 sides are congruent, the diagonals are perpendicular, and the diagonals bisect the opposite angles. So let's go ahead and use all of those properties to answer some algebra problems. So example 1, this is a rhombus. So it has all of the properties of a parallelogram and the 3 additional properties of a rhombus. They tell us about AB and AD. Well, we know since this is a rhombus, all 4 sides are congruent. So justification, in a rhombus, all 4 sides are congruent. Therefore, if AB is 8x minus 5, 8x minus 5, and AD is 6x plus 3, we can set those equal to each other and solve for x. So we have 2x equals 8 and divide both sides by 2. So x is 4. So DC is going to be the same as those other sides. So you can either use 6x plus 3 or 8x minus 5. Both will give you the same answer. 24 plus 3 is 27. Let's do problem number 2. This is a rhombus, and they give us the measure of BCD. So BCD is 54 degrees. We want to find BAC. I'll call that X. Well, we know that in a rhombus, the diagonals bisect each other. So these 4 angles are the same because opposite angles are congruent in a parallelogram. So we can write that down. Opposite angles are congruent in a parallelogram. And in a rhombus, the diagonals bisect each other. So we know that all of these pieces are x, and x plus x is 54. So 2x equals 54. Oops, 54. Divide both sides by 2. So we get 27 is x. So BAC, x is 27 degrees. Hope you enjoyed that problem. Last thing is a square. A square is a rhombus and a rectangle, so it has all the properties of a rectangle, rhombus, and rectangle. There is no additional property for a square. Have a really good day, and hope you guys have a good time doing the practice problems. Bye-bye.